Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and real pleasure to be here, and what a fantastic building we've got here. It's a great venue, Mike, and happy birthday and congratulations, by the way. So I'm David Moss, and I'm from Nissan. I've been at Nissan for 33 years now, and I'm now head of the research and development organisation here in the UK, where we've got 1,000 engineers, obviously designing and developing products which are mainly manufactured in our Sunderland facility, which is the biggest manufacturing plant by volume this year. But actually, a lot of the challenges that we face, very similar to what Michael's just explained in the supercar sector. Now, our strategy really has always been this journey to electrify our industry. And from a Nissan point of view, we developed a strategy called EV360, which we launched in 2021. And at that time, it was bringing a new vehicle, which is the replacement of the Leaf, which was the world's first mass EV. But it tried to look at a more holistic approach about, okay, how do we do that? How do we build the right gigaplant that we need to support that, and also power it by renewable electricity? So it was a real holistic approach to EV manufacturing. And our objective is to try to get to 100% EV by 2030, and we put the products in place for that. And in fact, we expanded last year in about November last year to announce that we're now going to go to the second stage. It's about 3 EVs now. You know, the replacement of Leaf, Duke, and Qashqai in electrified format, which obviously takes that investment from 1.2 billion to 3 billion. And means that we need to build more batteries. Now, since we did that as well, this has become a bit more of a global strategy. And our CEO recently announced our global plan, which is called the ARC, which is our new business plan between 24 and 26. And it really bridges from the transformation that we started with the Nissan Next program and takes us to our goal of 2030, which we call Ambition 2030. And it's built of 2 different parts. Firstly, the midterm is about what we need to do in the next 3 years in delivering products and services to the market globally. And then the mid to long term, because we need to continue to build the foundations of the future. And certainly when you're in R&D, when you're 3 to 4 years ahead of the market, it's really important that you keep that eye about what it is that we need to do next. Now, when we take that to what does that mean really in the electrified format? And quite simply, globally, we're going to launch 30 vehicles within the next 3 years, of which 16 of those will be pure electric. Now, in Europe, it's quite different, because in Europe, we are the lead market of moving to electrification. We're much faster than anywhere else. Okay, I think maybe you could debate that with China at the moment, but fundamentally, in Nissan's portfolio, we go from, you can see here, a global mix of 20% pure electric and then 20% with our e-power or hybrid technology. But in Europe, it's 43% electric by 2026, and also an increase of around 32% with our e-power technology, which you're probably aware is a full electric drive, but with an onboard generator, which really helps people who aren't quite ready to make that jump to full EV, but gets them on that journey with the real benefits of driving electric vehicles from a performance and a smoothness point of view. Now, of course, one of the big challenges that we face, always with EVs, is how do you make them affordable? Because what we want to do is to make these accessible to people, because as Michael said, it's not about regulation telling people you need to drive EVs. It's about making products that people can afford and actually have all of those great technology and attributes, which really makes this something that people want to drive. And our objective over the next few years is really to try to take the cost of that and through different initiatives, whether that be through manufacturing, through design, and through supply chain, is really about how do we reduce the cost by 30%, with our next generation of EVs and ultimately to get to parity with internal combustion engines by 2030. And of course, we need partnerships to do that, suppliers especially, and getting the suppliers here in the UK is really key. Now, the technology that we need to evolve, firstly, battery. It's a very, very, very large cost in the vehicle, as I'm sure you all know. But even though you hear about lithium-ion technology, it's not at its pinnacle yet of performance. There is continuous evolution of this technology, which basically, over time, is improving the energy density and improving the quick charging. Now, to us, this is a real important combination of what you do with this, because how big a battery does the customer need if they can charge it really quickly? Because batteries, as I said, are expensive. If we can get more energy into batteries, it helps us lower the cost because the technology comes down, but then do you need such a big battery for 1% of your journey? So something that's really quite interesting for us, and you can see that we expect that over time, we'll be reducing, or should I say improving the energy density and improving the quick charging time, but at the same time, it's also reducing cost. Now, of course, beyond that, what's next? As I mentioned, we're always innovating and looking at different ways, and solid-state batteries, or in Nissan's case, all solid-state battery is really key. And the reason I use all is because we basically have a technology under development that eliminates the liquid electrolyte in the battery, which actually is the element which really limits the performance of batteries today. We put a lot of investment in this internally. We've built a pilot plant, and you can see in the middle in FY24, we're starting that pilot plant operation, and then we expect to be able to bring that to market through each phase by 2028 in one of our vehicles. Now, what's the big benefit? Well, quite simply, it's 2 times the energy density. So theoretically, it means you can get the same range in a battery that's half the size. But the other benefit is you can charge it 3 times quicker, which basically really gives a customer-focused benefit. And at the same time, it helps to reduce the cost. So lots of things happening there. But it's not just battery. Powertrain technology is also key. And we've got 13 years of experience of EVs with the Leaf. And what we've now done is we're looking at, okay, how can we redesign that electric powertrain to allow us to use the main components both in full EVs and also in our e-power vehicles. Now, by combining these together and getting mass scale on those components, what we've managed to do is reduce the size of this unit by 30%, which basically drives the cost in equal measure. And we intend to bring that to market in our next generation of EVs. It's a great technology, and believe me, making it small, making it stiffer, it means things like the noise and vibration of the car is also improved. But I think long gone are the days when cars were just a mode of transport, and looking at how the car fits in the EV ecosystem as we move forward is really key. Because what you see in vehicles is you're effectively driving around mobile energy storage. So how can we use that to a greater effect? You know, taking green energy which is generated during the day and then being able to discharge that energy back to the grid when the grid has got a higher carbon mix. Now, for us, the secret is about affordable vehicle-to-grid technology. And we're going to do that with AC. And the reason we call it AC bidirectional is because we want to use the onboard technology to take the DC energy of the battery and put it through AC to make the whole combination affordable to the customer. Now, we think it has real benefits, not just to society in that it helps us with the pressures on the energy generation to reduce carbon, but also there is actually a financial benefit to the customer here because people, or the energy companies, are willing to actually give people a share of the profit, shall we say, from basically exchanging the energy back to the grid. And we think this is something that is really exciting and something that you're going to see deployed at mass scale across our future EVs. But in addition to that, carbon neutrality, of course, it's not just about what comes out the tailpipe, or the lack of a tailpipe, should we say, in an EV. You know, it's a full circular economy these days. Everything from where you get the raw materials from, how you manufacture the car, and what do you do with the vehicle at the end of its life. Now, not only are we looking at that from a product point of view, but we're also investing heavily in renewables and looking at how we can reduce the carbon footprint, not just of manufacturing, but all elements of what we do. And of course, logistics plays a big part of this, and getting suppliers and encouraging suppliers to the UK is another way of challenging this. So we think this is something which has really got a lot of key points behind it. It's stuff that we're actively working on to deliver. Now, from Nissan's point of view, you know, we're very confident that we're working to be, you know, a cleaner, a safer, and we call a more inclusive future. We've confirmed 3 cars for production, and the images you see on the screen are, should we say, the styling concepts for which future models will be based on. And we're quite confident that this is the right approach to do. But we can't do this together. And I think this is where the crux of, you know, this kind of seminar that Mike and the SMMT have arranged. This is about us forming partnerships and working together. Whether you be the car manufacturer, whether you be the supplier, or whether you work somewhere else in the supply chain. But it needs to be done together with governments and regulations, and also other players, such as the SMMT, who can take, taking a lead position in how we push this transition forward. Because we think it's only possible if we form the right partnerships. You know, we need to understand, you know, in this sector, what is the long-term aims and what is the long-term industrial strategy that this sector needs, and how do we encourage suppliers to come here in the UK? And also, how do we look very carefully at the regulations? Because for us, divergence of regulation, when you export 80% of your product, it is a real challenge. And it's something that we want to make sure that the UK, we're in a position where we're always trying to make sure we're the best place to make cars, because we think it's, there's great skills in this country, there's a great supplier base already, but we just need more of it, and we need to get the policies right to get there. So I'll leave it at that point.
David,
yep.
Thank you. Before you go there, can I just ask a question? Because you used a phrase, you said not quite ready for EVs. You're talking about consumers who are kind of, and you've talked about companies and your own company, and you talked about government and the role. What about the consumers? Where are we? Because it's going to be something that's a theme today, or certainly in the background today. Where are we when it comes to consumer readiness?
Well, the growth of EV is definitely there. You know, we've gone, 16% at the moment. I'm sure Mike's got more accurate figures than me. But yes, we've plateaued. But when you bring all new technology to market, it's always a bit of a bumpy road. But the trajectory is in the right direction. And what we've been doing, using the experience of the 13 years that we've had with Leaf, is how do we continue to improve the product and look at some of those pain points that customers did. You know, initially, the range of the car was quite small with the first Leaf. The range of the vehicle now is, it's a full weekly commute in most cases. And in fact, most people seem to be specifying batteries probably based on a journey that they only make a couple of times a year. But for us, it's about trying to get the technology right, get the battery technology to hold more energy where we need it, but get the charging right and make it so that the range anxiety issue of the past is not what we expect to see in the future. But from our point of view, it's about driving down, through innovation, is driving down the cost as well. So it's getting the right product and getting it at the right price point. And, you know, we got a number of strategies ourselves, and I'm sure there's other players in this room today which maybe are working on something else which will help us move that into a different place in the future.
David, brilliant. Round of applause, please, for David. Thank you so much.
Thank you.